against the roof of my mouth. Which is, there are a couple of definitions for that. Anchor tonguing, although that's stupid because my tongue isn't anchored. I don't have it super glued down behind my bottom teeth. You know, it's like, it's kind of floating. The tip goes where it goes, depending on the range that I'm in. You know, in the low register, it doesn't even touch the bottom teeth. And then in the upper register, it touches and even kind of comes up and maybe part of the tongue even contacts the bottom lip or something like, you know, in the extreme upper register. But the tip of the tongue isn't really my concern. It's not, I'm not even thinking about it. I'm just thinking about where the articulation happens, which is a little bit further back on the tongue. But lots of people do lots of things. There are small variations because everybody's tongue is different and everybody's mouth is different and the shape is, it's always different. So the important thing is that balance between air pressure and tongue tension. What is the bare minimum amount of tension necessary in the tongue? And you'll find that the answer to that relates to how much air pressure you're using. With more air pressure, you can use a really soft tongue. But if you don't have very much air pressure, then you have to use more tension in the tongue. So it's always, there's a balance between those two elements. Surf the wave, you got enough air pressure coming through, and just figure out how to just, get that little movement of the tongue that's enough to block the air for just a split second, just a millisecond. Get in the way, get out of the way. Just the cobra strike. Of course, I've advocated whistling your notes, which means that behind the articulation, which only happens 1% of the time, the other 99% of the time should be a good sounding vowel, I feel. Just 5 notes at a time, and experiment. Which way does allow me the fastest and cleanest articulation? Then just turn up the metronome as fast as you can. And then just keep going with the 5-note articulation. And when you feel comfortable at that tempo, turn it up another 2 clicks, and another 2 clicks, and another 2. Like, turning up the heat of the water with the lobsters in the pot. When it's a little too fast, how do you get the tongue to speed up just a little bit? And the answer is always less tension. When we're articulating slower, we usually have the tendency to use much more tension in the tongue. But when you're talking about going as fast as possible, then you have to really sink or swim. And every 2 clicks, it's another opportunity to sink or swim. Eventually it becomes too fast, and instead of it becomes something more like triplets, and then you know that you've gone too far, right? And then it's like, okay, things get a little weird here. Let me and basically just stay at the maximum tempo where you can cleanly, perfectly articulate 1 E and a 2, 3 E and a 4, and just try to push that tempo another 2 clicks every time, and you will get your tongue to relax. Sometimes it takes a little while, and you can't just do it on a middle G. You have to do it like in all registers, at least every C and every G, so that you can generally get into every part of the range. Because the vowel will be so different. It's instead of it'll be, and that's a different movement of the tongue. It's a different range of motion for the tongue. So it's important to do this in all registers. And the same thing goes for double tonguing too, that's articulate enough. And that is a super soft, like the tongue is comparatively lazy, versus and it's enough. How far forward in your mouth can you make the gig articulation? And the closer that you can get those articulations, the more even they'll sound. Step 1 would be 1 note. Step 2. in the way that you do it, and you'll find out what articulation works best for you. What matters is that you search for that balance between air pressure, tongue tension, and making sure that your tongue returns back to the volume, to the particular shape that creates that particular volume in your mouth that's really, really nice for that note to happen. So yeah, that's it. Basically, I think that those are the big points that'll make a really big difference with your articulation. You should pick whatever kind of articulation feels natural for you, but I would say test it with this.